Hi everybody, my name is Dr. Hilary Booth and I'm a naturopathic doctor, and welcome to my video blog. This week we're going to be talking about something that is really common that I see in my practice, and that's bloating. A lot of times, even if a patient doesn't come in to see me for bloating specifically, they often report bloating when we start talking about their other symptoms. And many people experience bloating related to their menstrual cycle, but lots of people also experience bloating related to their digestion or both. So today, I'm going to tell you about my top 5 reasons that I see people experiencing bloating, and I'm going to tell you how you're going to be able to treat them naturally. So my first reason that I see bloating is that people have what's called a gut flora dysbiosis. And basically this means that the gut flora isn't what it should be. So research shows us that gut flora plays a role in digestion, in our immune system health, in mood and stress, and it also regulates sleep and appetite. So it's extremely important. But the bacteria that live in your gut can get disrupted really easily. So for example, if you were not delivered vaginally, meaning you were delivered by C-section, if you were not breastfed, if you have had antibiotics in your life, if you're stressed out, if you're taking any medications, including the birth control pill, and if you drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes, these things can all disrupt the natural gut flora balance. So basically, when we kill off all this good bacteria that's living in our guts, bad bacteria moves in and sets up shop. And bad bacteria can also include yeast, which can overgrow in the gut, but can also cause problems the whole body wide. So this yeast and bad bacteria basically ferments foods in the gut tract, and that cause bloating and gassiness for lots of people. So it can also cause other symptoms like headaches, fatigue, brain fog, mood disturbance like anxiety or depression, difficulty sleeping, and carb and sugar cravings. So if you have gut flora dysbiosis, it may be first necessary to kill off the bad gut flora before you can actually replenish the good guys that are living there. But please go see your naturopathic doctor to help you with this, as many of the things that are meant to kill off the bad stuff can actually be quite dangerous. And also, on the other side of the coin, a lot of things are completely useless and don't actually do anything for you at all. So if you do end up seeing your naturopathic doctor and working to kill off the bad bacteria, you then need to replenish the gut lining with good bacteria, meaning probiotics. And if you've ever heard me speak before, you know that I'm really picky when it comes to probiotics. So please watch my video about probiotics to learn more about why I'm so picky and why a lot of the bacteria in the probiotics that are out there actually can make you worse instead of better. My second reason that lots of people experience bloating is that they have a deficiency of their digestive juices. So it's really important to realize that the first step to digestion actually is hunger. And a lot of us aren't comfortable getting hungry. So when you're hungry, you start thinking about your meal, your brain sends signals to your mouth, to your stomach, to your liver, your pancreas, and your gallbladder to all start making these digestive juices and squirt them out, basically. When these digestive juices are really important because they allow you to actually break down your food properly and allow you to absorb your nutrients. So if you eat on the run, if you eat standing up, if you don't chew your food thoroughly, if you don't get hungry before you eat, if you feel like food sits in your stomach and doesn't actually digest, or you experience heartburn, you may have deficiencies in your digestive juices. So these are your digestive enzymes, your saliva, and your stomach acid, all 3 of them. All of which basically help to break down your food so that when your food moves over down into your lower digestive tract, into your small and large intestine, the food is broken down small enough that it doesn't feed the bacteria too much. If you have larger particles of food, this causes lots of bloating and gas because the bacteria feast on these larger food particles that have traveled there. So this can also happen if you don't eat on a regular schedule or if you skip breakfast. So first, what can you do? First, you can eat on a regular schedule. I recommend at least 3 meals per day with 2 to 3 snacks per day. You can also make sure that you're eating breakfast. A lot of people skip it. You need to eat within 30 minutes of waking. Next, you can get excited about eating. So think about your food, smell your food, look at your food, enjoy the way that it tastes, and really chew it thoroughly. You should feel like you're chewing forever. Something to help you chew your food more thoroughly actually involves putting down your fork between each bite, and then you actually spend more time with each mouthful. This basically encourages your brain to tell your mouth and to tell your stomach and all those other organs we talked about to really squirt out lots of those digestive juices so that you can digest your food properly. Next, please sit down and enjoy your meal. Don't eat standing up. Don't eat in front of the TV or your computer or your phone, and that also can impede that digestive process. Next, you need to really make sure that if you're still doing all these things properly and you're having problems still with bloating, then you see your naturopathic doctor. Because what we can do is we can replace some of those digestive enzymes, or a lot of people have low stomach acid, so we replace some of that stomach acid to actually help your body to send those signals and actually start developing its own way of releasing those juices so that you can digest that food properly and so that you don't experience that bloating anymore. My number 3 reason people experience bloating is that they eat gas-forming foods. So, some foods are more bloating than others, and lots of people already know this. They say, oh yeah, cabbage or beans makes me bloated, or something along those lines. But for some people, their bodies don't do well with foods that tend to bloat in general, and there aren't just 1 or 2 foods, there are lots of them. And there's a group called FODMAPs, which stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. And this is basically a big acronym that basically says that these foods are fermented in the body much more than other foods are, and they're poorly absorbed in the small intestine, meaning that by the time they get down to the large intestine, those larger food particles are there that the bacteria feasts on. So if this interests you, I would recommend to Google the FODMAP diet because it is a very intricate thing. Foods to avoid, to give you an example, are foods with excess fructose, like apples, high fructose corn syrup, and pears. Fructans, like in onion and gluten and artichokes. Foods with lactose, including your dairy products, legumes, and lentils, and then foods with polyols, such as xylitol and mannitol. You've read those on some of your ingredient labels, mushrooms, cherries, and avocado. Suffice it to say, this is a really difficult diet, and it is really easy to get caught up and not actually be eating properly. So please speak with a naturopathic doctor or a nutritionist in order to help you plan if you are going to try the FODMAP diet. If you're not ready to take this FODMAP plunge, what I would recommend doing is keeping a diet diary of everything you eat in relation to your bloating. So everything you eat for an entire week, and then you mark down how bloated you are, what time of day you get bloated, and then you can start to pick up patterns. I would say look at the FODMAP diet though, because it does give you some ideas of the trigger foods that often cause bloating, and that might help to develop your understanding of your own trigger foods. My number 4 reason people experience bloating is they have food intolerances. So food intolerances are extremely common, and they can be a significant cause of bloating. Basically, they also can affect your mood, your appetite, your bowel habits. It can cause inflammation, fatigue, pain, acne, and eczema. It can cause headaches and joint pain, just to name a few. There's lots of problems that come with food intolerances. It can really be difficult to narrow down those foods that you're intolerant to because it can be a combination of different foods, and there can be some sneaky culprits in there, and people don't feel better if they eliminate some of the foods but not all of them, so it can become really frustrating. So if you're experiencing any of the symptoms that I just mentioned, you may want to consider getting a food intolerant test. Basically, it's just a simple finger prick that we do here in the office, and the results come back with your level of intolerance to 96 different foods. This allows you and your ND to really pinpoint what's causing the issues for you, and then you can pull out those foods, heal the gut lining, which is really, really important, and then you can reintroduce those foods. And often when you do this process properly, you actually can return to eating many of the foods that you originally had problems with. But, however, there may be foods that still continue to be causing problems, including bloating for you, and you may need to keep them out for the long term. And while we're talking about food intolerances, it's really important to note another type of food issue is a food allergy called celiac disease. Basically, people with extreme bloating can suffer from celiac disease, which is an allergy to gluten. Other symptoms include diarrhea, vomiting, gas, swelling in the ankles and the legs, anemia, which is a blood deficiency, weight loss, and fatigue. If you are experiencing any of these things, please go get a blood test done, and then it's followed up by an intestinal biopsy, and that allows you to be diagnosed properly with celiac disease. This is a often misdiagnosed and completely missed condition, so please investigate that if you are experiencing bloating. My 5th and final reason that people experience bloating are hormone fluctuations. So, high estrogen levels can cause water retention, and low estrogen and progesterone levels can cause body fat composition changes, making it more difficult sometimes to maintain muscle mass, and instead you're putting on body fat cells. So many women get frustrated with this because they have lots of bloating and they're eating really cleanly and they are doing really well with getting their digestive juices flowing, they're working out a whole ton, they're doing everything right, but they still feel like they have this pouch or this bloating feeling in their lower abdomen. And oftentimes it's because of your hormones, not because of your digestion. So if this is the case, it may be really important to do some lab testing with you to see where your hormones are at. So high hormone levels can be treated effectively by addressing constipation and by doing a liver detox. And low hormone levels can be treated really, really well using herbs. But it's really important to know where your hormones are at before doing any of these treatments and to make sure that you're actually targeting the correct hormones rather than the wrong ones, which can make matters worse for you. So lab testing when working with hormones is always super important. So I'm going to recap my 5 reasons why you might have bloating. Number 1 is your gut flora is in dysbiosis, meaning you've had antibiotics, you have stress, you're on medications, and your gut flora is not the way that it should be. Number 2 is you have a deficiency in your digestive juices. This could be because you are not taking the time to eat and smell your food and enjoy your food and sit down and relax while you're eating, or it could also be because of a body deficiency, so you may need supplementation. Number 3 is that you are eating lots of gas-forming foods. So I'd recommend you look into the FODMAP diet if you are interested in learning more about that, but you can do a diet diary to help you find your trigger foods. Number 4 is you may have food intolerances, which basically the best way of learning what your food intolerances are is by doing a food intolerance test. And this will allow you to take out the foods, heal up the gut, and then you can possibly be able to eat those foods later on. My number 5 reason is hormone fluctuations, which often is a reason for many women out there who are doing everything right and are still feeling like they're bloated. So I recommend you do lab testing to figure out whether or not hormone imbalances are something that is affecting you and causing bloating for you. So I hope you learned something today, and I hope that this gets you really thinking about your digestion and your hormones and ways that you can help to target bloating in your life. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to write in the comment section below, send me a message, or of course you can book an appointment with me by going to our website at daruwellness.com or by calling the office at the number listed below. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Take care.